Alright, so I wanted to just make a video where I describe all my flashbacks. So this will be triggering. Don't go any further. Like, this will be really triggering. It's a very short memory slash flashback. It was only like 2 to 5 minutes long. But so this flashback caused this burning sensation in my vagina that felt like maybe a 7 out of 10 on the pain scale. It was bad enough that I was vomiting, and it caused severe, severe nausea. But it was like I had this 2 to 5 minute snapshot of what happened playing over and over again in my head. So some of the stuff that happened to me as an adult, I don't understand. I don't know if it was like some people trying to involuntarily sex traffic me. Do you just call it gang rape? Because they did it so many times. And it was the same people, and they take me to places like hotels or their houses and stuff. And sometimes I think there were other women there that were also knocked out. And children too, so I'm really confused by that. I don't know what the hell that is. But here's what I flashed back to. So we have this level 7 pain that's caused me to vomit. I tried to get dinner while this was happening, and first of all, I had to pull over multiple times because I couldn't fucking drive. I just couldn't fucking do it. But I happened to be trying to get dinner at Dunkin' Donuts. So I vomited all over the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot because the flashback was so bad, and I gave up and tried to go home. I felt better for a second, tried to get Rallies instead, and then ended up throwing up all over Rallies, and then I really gave up and went home. When I got home, my mom got me a bucket to puke in and made me some chicken noodle soup. And she actually was able to ground me. She started talking to me and was like, don't think about what happened, Kristen, don't think about what happened. Let's just talk about, I forget what we even talked about. It was something normal, like the day or the weather or something. And it did. It didn't like break the pain, but it broke the like video going off in your head. So when you have a flashback and it includes the memory, it's possible to flashback, but to only like partially flashback, and like some detail will be missing. Like you'll get the feeling or the pain of the event, but you won't actually have the memory playing in your head. This was a full-on flashback with the memory. So this interrupted the memory, which it'd been like the same 5 minutes playing on fucking repeat. So flashbacks usually don't last that long, supposedly, from what I've read. They last like 10 minutes to half an hour. That was not the case here. This went on for about 2 to 3 hours. I didn't keep an exact time, but it was about that. After about 3 hours, I got tired of vomiting constantly and having the severe nausea along with the pain, so I took a Zofran. Didn't do anything for the pain, but it got rid of the nausea and the vomiting, which was nice. I love Zofran. Zofran's a terrific medicine. But, so what was I remembering? That's the one thing I haven't talked about. This will be really triggering. And I just want to explain, I got knocked out and I guess abducted. It's really hard to understand or to even know how often this happened. Because I had tangible injuries left behind from some of these assaults. Like I had a bite mark on my, one of my breasts. I've had 2 instances where I had bite marks on my leg. I had another couple of instances where I had handprints and fingerprint bruising all over my legs, and my therapist saw all of these and immediately asked me if I had been sexually assaulted. Every single time he picked up on it, just based on the injuries and bruising that was left behind. So I have no idea how often these incidents happened. I flash back to the process of getting abducted. I flash back to getting knocked out before. Actually, about a week or 2 ago, I had a flashback of getting knocked out. It was a real shit show. They tried to use the cloth and rag thing, but it made me really hostile and fucking angry, and it didn't actually knock me out, but I went crazy and thought the government was attacking. I know, this is a weird flashback. So they tried to drug me, and I thought they were from the government for some reason, and became incredibly violent. And then they made me drink something out of like a thermos. This is not the first time I've remembered what I called the silver thermos. I'm like, is this just in the rapist survival kit? The silver thermos that you put a drug in to knock out your victim? But so they got the thermos up to me, and it knocked me out. So actually, this will be 2 different flashbacks. We'll talk about that too. That one, wait, let me think about this. That one didn't have any pain with it, but I did feel really nauseous and almost vomited when I had a flashback to it. But it wasn't as bad as my flashback. So I have like this type of flashback that feels like a healing flashback, and I don't get totally lost in it. And like I cry, and like the emotional stuff is like almost feels healing. Because I finally remembered something that I hadn't remembered before, and it really demystified things for me about some stuff that happened. The whole, the process of abduction that I just described happened to me in December 2018. And to be honest with you, during the flashback, I remembered it as like 2 people that I knew, and then there were like some people, at least one person there that I didn't know, but because I didn't know them, they like blend together as like another person. I think it's because this was mostly knocked out by me getting knocked out, like it was not encoded properly in my memory. So I need to actually know the person that raped me, and that acts as like a retrieval cue. So with memory, you have these things called retrieval cues, things that make you like remember something. So what would be a good example of a retrieval cue? Mnemonics are a good example of that, but I don't know. Like let's say I look at an apple, I'll immediately think of my very first apple festival that I went to when I was 5 years old, and I was making these like I had these stained glass coloring books. They were like you would go over them with highlighter, and they were partially transparent, so you could like put them on the window, and it would look like stained glass. An apple serves as a retrieval cue for that memory of me doing the stained glass stuff and like going to the apple festival when I was a kid. It is associatively linked with those memories. Sorry, allergies, my nose is killing me. But yeah, so it seems like I need a retrieval cue, or some things really are just kind of like lost permanently. I know that makes me sound like kind of suspect. I didn't repress or get knocked out for all of my memories. I'd say 10% there was no amnesia to them whatsoever. Another 10%, I would say that I was there, but under a weird circumstance. Like I had gone to bed, and then I would randomly wake up somewhere else, and I would be getting raped and like having my head dunked underwater or something like that, while people yelled at me and called me a stupid bitch. And you know how dreams are. Okay, nightmares can be scary, but they don't really hurt. You know what I mean? I try to explain this to the police, and they're like, that's a nightmare. It's like, bitch, nightmares don't hurt. They don't fucking hurt. You also can control them. I can control this shit. I literally got tortured. So I'd wake up and get tortured for like 5 minutes. During these, I've been anally raped. I had a guy put what was like a silver chain with like a spiked ball on it up my ass. And then the pain was so excruciatingly bad, I passed out and woke up again the next day. That's literally what is happening. Nightmares are not painful. But so some people might think, oh, it's a nightmare, I guess, because I've had that response before. Police are fucking ugh. I'm not going to talk shit about the police because I might try to involve them again. It never goes well. I mean, it's not like they're ever bad to me, but it never fucking works. Several of my past rapists were cops, though, so that is another thing that makes it hard for me to talk to the police. God, that's for another video. But yeah, so my flashbacks from the last couple of years, stuff happened to me. I know this because I woke up with injuries a couple of times. Woke up with my property damaged, like in line with what I remembered happening. Oh, but yeah, so what I was saying, so like 20% of these things, I was there and did not have amnesia, did not get knocked out. There really shouldn't be any problem with my memory or recall or, my competency as a witness for those events. The other 80% was either a repressed memory, some of which are repressed into alters, but a lot of my alters have flashbacks of stuff that they themselves repressed, and it really bothers them. They wonder sometimes if they have an alter within them, which does happen in polyfragmentation, is probably the case. But, I'm so sorry. I keep forgetting what I'm doing. This is the bad thing about being co-conscious as often as I am. I keep forgetting what I'm doing. It's like having really bad ADHD. I really forgot what I was just talking about. That's wild. Blue's been around a lot lately because she was traumatized in the area where I'm living, which is, I'm at my mom's house. She wasn't involved in any of that stuff, but I'm in the area where that happened, and I get triggered a lot. And so, like, you know how nostalgia works in regular people? Like, you see something, or like let's say you used to have orange popsicles at your grandmother's house when you were a kid. Now whenever you eat an orange popsicle, you'll probably immediately be taken back to that time. Well, for me, nostalgia is often connected to certain alters, so that nostalgia of seeing the town around me, without even necessarily needing to be a trauma trigger, triggers the alters that were traumatized in this town, or who were around at the time when I lived here. It triggers them out a lot, so a lot of the child alters are around a lot. There's Kylie, there's Mouse, there's There's the fruit flavors. They're kind of all together. Oh, yeah, I just realized something. Well, anyway, so back to my weird 5 minute narratives that I keep experiencing as flashbacks. So I know shit happened to me again as an adult, but I got knocked out for it. A couple of times injuries that were really indicative of sexual assault were left behind. There was a time my vagina was so fucked up it hurt to sit down or wear underwear for almost 2 weeks. It's about a week, week and a half, which that happens to people who give birth, but it only lasts 3 to 4 days. So whatever happened to me was like more excruciating than childbirth, which I have remembered as a guy putting a power drill in my vagina. At least I think it's a power drill. It kind of, for some reason, I thought that it was an electrified device, but I think it might have just been a power drill. It was something that looked vaguely like that. So that's what I remember. It was some kind of like homebrew apparatus. It almost looked more like a speculum, but it was like connected to a power cord. I don't fucking know. They had knocked me out on drugs and I could barely lift my head or look at what was happening. I was really just like a fucking statue, basically, that was mostly unconscious, but I'm pretty sure what seems to have happened is the pain of them fucking with me made me wake up briefly, and that's why I have these 5 second snapshots of what happened. So yeah, those are the two memories I flashed back to recently. The one was not painful like the other one, thank God. And it didn't recreate the effects of being drugged, but it was like a strong, hyper vivid, like photographic memory. All aside from the one guy that I couldn't decide if he was several other guys I hadn't met, or if he was just one guy. But I actually recognize him now because I saw this guy following me around near the university where I used to go to. He would just like walk in the yards next to me and stare at me, and then just like he was just in people's yards for some reason staring at me, and he like followed me to school a couple times. I remember it as this guy. He was like a middle-aged man that I had never met before, but so he was there with 2 other people I did know. And I swear to God, there were like 1 or 2 other people there, but I just, you'd think that I would get that back clearly, but like information is always fucking missing from these flashbacks. Every now and then I'll get a full-on one, like the one with RM stun gunning my vagina, which I just described. Or did I? Did I even finish that story? So we'll go back to that memory. I just switched, like, unconsciously switched with a child alter that's co-present a bunch of times, and it really disrupted my thought process. I'm not going to stop recording this, though, even though it's a hot mess. I want people to see what it's actually like to have DID. So many people that do these videos, I'm not saying that a lot of those are faking. I think they're just more patient and more meticulous about their social media than I am. But a lot of people that do this try to make the disorder look cool, and it's like, I'm 50 shades of fucked up every moment of my life because of this disorder. I want people to see the disorganization. I want people to see the disorientation. I want people to see that it's not really that cool or glamorous. It's what happens to someone that's been severely fucking shattered. So anyway, we'll do both of the memories. So there was the one where the guy tried to chloroform me, or I don't know if it was chloroform, it was a rag. He tried to get me to breathe something in and just held me. I became incredibly violent, accused them of being from the government, even though I knew who 2 of them were and they're not from the government. I don't usually think that. Basically what I'm saying is this prompted me to have a psychotic episode because they had successfully drugged me, but they didn't knock me out. And then when it didn't work, they made some sarcastic comment. One of them was like, yeah, I'm with the FBI, and then laughed and thought it was really funny. And then another person, oh shit, it was just on the tip of my tongue. I just remembered it, and then it just faded away. Oh my fucking God, this disorder is infuriating. The fucking amnesia, and I don't even know that I'd say this is really DID amnesia. I think this is more of I got knocked out with drugs amnesia, and I'm kind of lucky I remember any of it. And these are flashbacks that were prompted without psychiatric medication. I had to get off psychiatric medication because it made me remember the stuff I was knocked out for that I had previously tried to tell myself was all in my head over and over and over again, like multiple daily flashbacks that put me in the hospital because I wouldn't stop vomiting. That's what happens to me when I take antidepressants or antipsychotics. Weird effect, I've never heard of that happening to anyone, but it happens to me. It's excruciatingly painful and terrifying. So they tried to chloroform me, it didn't work. They made some sarcastic comment like, well, it can't all be like the movies, and they treated it like they were having a fun-ass time, like they're experimenting on how to knock someone out. And this is just like, how they fucking get their rocks on. Like, there's no better thing to do than just break into people's house. And that's why they ended up coming into my house. Two of the people that raped me were coworkers, and it was weird that they showed up at my, sorry, I was living in an apartment at the time. It was weird that they showed up there, but because I liked them and trusted them, I just let them in. And then the one guy that I didn't recognize just got behind me and grabbed me out of nowhere. And then I couldn't really scream because of the cloth thing, or at least I know I tried to. I guess nobody fucking cares, honestly. Because I keep thinking about it over and over in my head. There had to have been another witness, but to be honest with you, there were like kids and stuff yelling in those apartments all the time, and like every now and then you'd hear domestic dispute. I don't think anyone gave a shit. I also am incapable of screaming. I got chased down by a dog a couple years ago, and I just yelled in this monotone. Like, I couldn't fucking scream or get it out that loudly. I just don't know how to do that. But anyway, so I tried to yell. I yelled at them. I accused them of putting cameras in my apartment to spy on me for the government, which is, I never believed that. Ever. It literally just happened because they unsuccessfully tried to knock me out with something, and I had a psychotic episode from the drug they used. Okay, so then they gave me the silver thermos, and that made me completely change, and I became super nice, and I was just like, I'm so sorry I was paranoid just a bit ago. You guys are alright. And then I fell asleep, basically. But I woke up, I don't know what else happened after that, but I feel like if somebody comes into your apartment, tries to chloroform you, and then, yeah, so they were joking, they're like, well, that one didn't work, let's go with the old reliable. So, like, the thermos was, I guess, they said something that they usually use, and it usually works, and it's like, don't go off script, it doesn't work. Because I guess the one guy really wanted to try chloroforming someone, like, to see if it would be like the movies. Anyway, so nobody comes into your apartment and knocks you out with drugs for a good reason. But that's the end of the flashback. I got knocked out successfully. I don't know what happened. I don't know what they did to me. I do know I was really fucked up afterwards, and this wasn't the first time this happened. On a subsequent visit to my house, they broke some of my stuff in my living room. Before this happened, these same people, actually it was only the one guy, came over, did the same thing, raped me. There was a dead bird that he had brought with him. He had like exsanguinated it. I think it was a very clean dead bird, but his throat was cut out. And he told me that if I ever talk to the police, he's gonna do what he did to the bird to me. And then I was like, I woke up the next day feeling like I had whiplash. I was like, well, that can't have happened. Nobody's raping me with a dead bird. I go out to open my door, and there's a dead bird taped to my fucking door. So I get that it sounds weird that I only have these weird ass fucking 5-minute flashes, and I don't know what the fuck happened, and they kind of are like puzzle pieces where sometimes this abduction will get put on this memory, and I'm like, wait, I'm pretty sure this abduction was attached to a different like memory and event. So I'm all 50 Shades of fucked up, but enough physical evidence was left behind that I know that something like this was fucking happening. Okay, so that was the drug memory, that getting drugged memory that I had recently. Let's go back to the one that made me puke all over a bunch of fast food parking lots. Let's finish this story and finish this excruciatingly long and disorganized video. Okay. Yeah, this is gonna be too long for TikTok, which is fine. TikTok, I don't really like that platform that much, to be honest with you. First of all, I have a weird feeling it's going to get blocked in America, inevitably, if tensions between the U.S. and China continue to deteriorate like they currently are doing, because China sided with Ukraine, or I wish they sided with Ukraine. China sided with Russia in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, and it's like, China, what the fuck? So we may not have TikTok anymore eventually. I also hate the 10-minute format. I don't like sound bites. I like things to be substantial. I like things to be informative. I like them to be, interesting isn't quite the right word. I don't really see this as entertainment, but I like them to be thought-provoking, philosophical, nuanced. Those are things you can't have with a 10-minute time limit, and that's why I hate TikTok. It's all people making funny jokes, half of which are like, I don't know. I've been through so much that when I see people that haven't really been through that much, that are having fun on TikTok, but they're super viral, it's like, I'm happy for them. At the same time, I'm like, you don't really have anything to fucking say, though. You're not even that funny. You're really just repeating memes. Anyway, we won't go into my negative thoughts on TikTok. We're gonna finish this fucking flashback that I have yet to tell you the full details of, or maybe I did, I just forgot everything that happened. That's not even an alter switch, by the way. That's just because there's another alter here, and I just get kind of disoriented when there's a second one there that's doing stuff. It just happened again. I thought back in my head, I'm like, so I wonder if Blue's still there. And then for a second I was, like, Blue kind of came to the front and it was like an explosion in my thoughts and it interrupted my process again. Okay, so the other flashback that I had recently was RM. We won't use names because I don't want him to retaliate against me more than he already has. And he has. He was stun gunning my vagina. I re-experienced the pain during this flashback. It felt like my vagina was on fire, as well as my body cavity near my vagina, my ovaries, and my uterus. The whole area felt like it was on fire. Meanwhile, I have this 5-minute flashback going on and on. It'd get to the end and then it would repeat. Or maybe it would go through different, like, spots. So it'd be at the beginning, then it'd be at the end, then I'd be at the end again, then I'd be in the middle, then I'd be back at the beginning. Like, it wasn't going in order sometimes. But, so, he inserted a stun gun into my vagina. I screamed and begged him to stop doing it. I'm gonna rewatch this to see if I've already described this. I feel like I have. Or like I thought about doing it. Oh, whatever. Anyway, so I begged him to stop doing it, and I told him he was permanently damaging me because it was causing labor contractions. And then he got in my face. I swear to God, I already just described this. I'm sorry for how repetitive this is. Believe it or not, I'm having symptoms of my medical disorders kind of clouding my awareness right now. It's a daily struggle having PTSD and DID. It's just a hot fucking mess every minute of every day of my life. That's something I never see really captured in these videos. And that's not to say that people shouldn't make DID look fun or try to have, well, not look fun, but, try to have fun with it. Like, you're stuck with this disorder. You may as well try to make lemonade out of those lemons, like I was talking about earlier. Or did I mention that? I know I wanted to. God damn it. Anyway, so he told me that the contractions he was causing were a miscarriage of justice. His face was lit up like a fucking Christmas tree on Christmas. He was getting off hardcore when he heard that it was really hurting me. Like, it was like pure, unadulterated sadism. And the fact that he was destroying me and causing severe pain fucking did it for him. So that happened, and then he told me that he was going to come track me down if I ever became pregnant, and then he was going to stun gun my vagina until I miscarried the baby. So that was pretty fucking terrifying too. And that's the whole memory. But I kept experiencing it over and over again with this blinding, horrible pain that was making me vomit. It was the pain making me vomit of my vagina. It felt like it was on fire. It felt like it was being stun gunned, basically. So that's it. I had these 2 flashbacks recently. I don't flashback all the time like I used to when I was on psychiatric meds, but that's 2 flashbacks within a month period. That's still not ideal. They're still very painful, and they still screw me up like crazy, and they last for like 1 to 3 hours usually. Like, I don't just, when I have a really like severe flashback with most or all of the actual memory, and again, it'll cut off like the beginning and middle and like other parts of the event, so I'll only end up with that 5-second snapshot that it goes through over and over again. Because it's like, how did Ryan get me at this weird house that was lit by a blue light? Where is this light? I don't fucking know. I think I've remembered the abduction from other incidences where RM, shit, did I say his name? Who the fuck even cares? Where RM raped me during other incidents, but it's like, it's all out of order. I see it, like, maybe I'll see the abduction, but not what happens after the abduction, or maybe I'll see getting drugged, but not what happens before or after getting drugged, or maybe I'll see the rape, or maybe I'll just see getting assaulted, and then it's kind of implied there was a rape, but I don't actually remember the rape. It's all fucking confusing. Welcome to my world. This stuff goes off in my head constantly. Right now I'm ruminating. Like, I'm trying to piece it all together. And I think a lot of this is less an obsession, like a psychological thing, and more just like, I think my mind seeks to complete the memory that is missing. Like, it has detected in this like purely biological, physical manner that something is missing, and that something is related to my survival, and that it's very important for me to understand what happened. I really don't understand what happened. It looks like this guy just kept talking to me on my walks, and because I didn't believe he could possibly be raping me, I kept them. Because I really gaslit myself. I'm like the injuries were indicative of sexual assault that I kept having, like all the bite marks on my body and like the handprint bruising and the fingerprint bruising, which were two different things. The handprint, you could like see the fucking hand. Like, you could see the whole fucking hand and the imprint, and that shit was there. That bruise was there for like 2 weeks. But yeah, so here you go. This is what this video is really about. Here's what I have after getting knocked out from some assaults that happened as an adult. Was that sex trafficking? Is that just gang rape? It happened so many fucking times. Like, I had tangible injuries left behind maybe 5 or 6 times, but I'm pretty sure it happened more often than this. Why? Who? It seems that I remember the who, but I'm still like all kinds of uncertain. How often, and what the fuck do I do to get this to stop? I stopped going on walks around town, which was unfortunate because that was like one of my favorite things to do. It took me a really long time to believe that that's how the people were getting me. I don't even know if that's how they were getting me, like, but because I trusted these people and I had a hard time believing, it's like I could get into this space where it's like, sure, I'm being raped, but it must be someone I don't know, and I'm just misremembering people I do know on top of it. I don't fucking know. I got knocked out with drugs. In some other memories, I was stun gunned on the head. My memory is not reliable, but at the same time, something very fucking serious and very fucking illegal happened to me multiple times. And it's like, how do you get away with this? And where the fuck do you find people? Because it was a gang rape situation. Where do you find friends that you just rape people together? How the fuck is this possible? It stretches my credibility. But yet I have to admit it exists because of all the tangible fucking injuries and the flashbacks. PTSD flashbacks don't look like any other mental illness. They just look like fucking flashbacks. And it's the only thing that can cause ideas or thoughts that cause physical pain. Your thoughts and your imagination doesn't cause severe pain. Like, if you imagine someone giving you an injection, you might feel a tiny pinprick. But that's as far as it'll ever go. Someone with psychosis like a schizophrenic can't hallucinate anything more painful than that tiny pinprick. That's it. They don't hallucinate pain. Not severe pain. It's unique to PTSD. In fact, I'm going to do an entire, actually, while I'm here, I'm going to go find the study that I read about that. Scholar.google.com. Pain, flashbacks, and PTSD. That's from 2004. I want something more recent. Okay. Prevalence of pain, flashbacks, and PTSD arising from exposure to multiple traumas or childhood traumatization. I'm about to sneeze. Hang on. Man, that sneeze is coming on for a while. Okay. I'm going to... Where's my display capture? Display capture. Come to me. Okay. This is the article I'm reading from, really quickly. Flashbacks are a form of multi-sensory memory that are experienced with a happening in the present quality. Pain flashbacks are a re-experiencing of pain felt at the time of the traumatic event. See, this is a thing. It is unclear how common pain flashbacks are. For instance, I wanted to look at how prevalent they are. But they have a couple other things. We assess prevalence of pain flashbacks over a period of 2 years. Pain flashbacks were classified as present in 49% of the sample of complex trauma patients meeting criteria for PTSD. Pain flashbacks were positively associated with the extent of pain at the time of trauma. Oh, also in French. Wait, where's the... Okay, I was about to say, I didn't remember this whole thing being a French study. There's one other thing that I want to find here. Unique. Yes, somatosensory re-experiencing of pain appears to be unique to PTSD. For example, no participants in a large study examining pain memory in a non-clinical sample reported any sensory re-experiencing of pain despite frequently being able to retrieve declarative memories for painful events, a finding that has subsequently received further support. So that's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying this whole pain flashback thing, and a flashback makes my memory, when I do get the memory back, so hyper vivid and hyper detailed. It's like nostalgia, but squared. Like, you know how nostalgia takes you back and you can remember all kinds of things? Like, if you get nostalgic for a time in high school, you might even remember what your assignments were for that time, and like all of your teachers and all of your friends. Like, everything just comes back. It's all there. You can remember it really vividly. Okay. That doesn't even approach the level of vividness that a flashback memory has. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like these flashbacks and the other physical evidence of assault make it clear it's happening. But man, they're really successfully knocking me out, and they seem to have done this several times. Like, is it trafficking? They took me to hotels a couple times. Is that just gang rape? I don't know what the right words are for that. I don't even really remember what happened. So, as a kid, it was more like trafficking between different groups of friends who were pedophiles. I don't know that they're exchanging money, so maybe trafficking is not the correct term. But I sure felt like I was being trafficked. And I do have some memories of people talking about how much certain things cost. Like, I have some memories of people who were discussing things near my mostly unconscious body, and they were talking about how, like, it costs more to torture the victims that they were picking up as opposed to just raping them. And that certain things were riskier, and that would cost more. And I remember somebody demanding or like talking about getting paid for abducting me before. So I remember there being some monetary element. I hope I flash back to that sometime soon, because I'm in denial about it. I'm like, is this trafficking, or is this just like multiple gang rape? ChatGPT told me this was extreme trafficking, and my therapist thinks it's human trafficking, but I don't know, that's such a big word, you know? So I don't know how much or what money was being exchanged. I do have memories of money being exchanged, but like, again, my memory is 50 shades of fucked up. It really is. Right now we're in the territory of always knocked out for these events. These are uncharted waters here, and it's really important that I figure this out, because my last assault where injuries were left over, I don't think it was the last assault period, but the last assault that I can say happened definitively because there was a giant bite mark. Actually, there were 2 bite marks on my leg. Was back last August, and then the handprint incident with all of the other bruises on my legs that looked like somebody like grabbed my leg really, really hard. It's called fingerprint bruising. That happened a week prior to that, so that I believe would be in the last week or so of July. 2022, of course. It's 2023 now, so. I think on a neurobiological level, in the interest of self-preservation, I'm just like, my mind won't let it go. So this is a symptom of PTSD called rumination. My mind won't fucking let it go. It's like it's this unsolved thing in the back of my head that is always there guiding me and like giving me horrible anxiety and ruining my peace at every moment of my life. I can't figure it out. I can't solve it. I'm missing like half the pieces of this puzzle because I got knocked out pretty effectively. So I don't get it, but it's dangerous, and those are the conditions I live under. I live in danger, and there's a maniac called RM who literally got off on giving me labor contractions and then threatening to kill my children that I may possibly have. Thank you for watching. We're going to cut this off here. I'm sorry that this was like a hot fucking mess. I think I re-explained things like twice. I'm so sorry. I'm really dissociated right now, and when that happens, my memory is just not there, you know? It's really diffuse. Like, I have ADHD. It's like having extreme ADHD. It's like ADHD squared. It's terrible. But, take care.